They say there are 84,000 paths to enlightenment. But what if I told you that each of those paths already lives inside your mind? Imagine this. A monk sits silently beneath a Bodhi tree, unmoving, unshaken. Beside him, a dancer twirls in a temple courtyard, her movements a prayer. In the mountains, a hermit chants forgotten syllables into the wind. A mother rocks her child to sleep, whispering lullabies soaked in love. Different lives, different rituals, but all walking toward the same mysterious horizon, liberation. So why 84,000? Why not 1 or 8 or 12? Was this number just symbolic, a poetic flourish lost in translation? Or could it be something more? Something encoded into the very structure of consciousness itself? This video is not just an exploration of Buddhist philosophy. It's a journey through time, across the vast inner landscape of the soul, and into the cutting edge of neuroscience. We'll uncover how the ancient idea of 84,000 paths may be more than metaphor. It might be a profound, intuitive grasp of what modern science calls neuroplasticity, the brain's extraordinary ability to rewire itself, to reshape identity, and to evolve. As we unravel this esoteric concept, we'll dive deep into the origins and symbolism of the 84,000 Dharma doors, how the mind has been revered and re-engineered across spiritual traditions, scientific insights into consciousness, and how your brain might hold a unique key to awakening. And finally, practical techniques to begin discovering your own path, your own strand in this vast web of spiritual evolution. Because here's the hidden truth. There is no single staircase to the divine. There is only the labyrinth of the self, and every step you take, every struggle, every silence is a sacred turning. So stay with me, breathe into the mystery, and by the end of this journey, you might just begin to see your own life as one of the 84,000 doors waiting to be opened. Let us begin. The story begins over 2.5 millennia ago under the shade of a fig tree in Bodh Gaya, India. There, a prince-turned-seeker named Siddhartha Gautama awakened, not to a new religion but to a timeless truth, that suffering is not fixed and liberation is possible. But here's where the tale grows strange. According to ancient Buddhist texts, the Buddha gave not one path, nor even a handful, but 84,000 distinct teachings, each tailored to the needs of different beings. Now, let's pause. In the dusty annals of history, where metaphors often masquerade as mathematics, numbers like 84,000 aren't literal, they're symbolic. In Buddhist numerology, this number represents vastness beyond comprehension. But it also points to something crucial: individualization. The Buddha didn't offer a single dogma for all, but a kaleidoscope of wisdom reflecting the minds, hearts, and karmic patterns of countless beings. The idea originates from the Pali Canon, the earliest and most extensive record of the Buddha's teachings. In texts like the Dhammapada and Sutta Pitaka, he repeatedly emphasizes skillful means, adapting the message to suit the listener's level of understanding, cultural background, or spiritual temperament. In Mahayana Buddhism, this becomes even more pronounced. The concept of the Dharma doors emerges, gateways of practice suited for different individuals. These doors are infinite. Some open through silent meditation, others through chanting, artistic creation, devotion, or fierce inquiry. To a warrior, the path might be courage. To a lover, it might be surrender. To a thinker, it might be logic. And this idea isn't isolated to Buddhism. In Hinduism, we find the concept of the 4 yogas: bhakti, devotion; jnana, knowledge; karma, action; and raja, meditation, each a path to the same summit. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna urges Arjuna to find his way through duty. Similarly, Christian mystics like Meister Eckhart spoke of the many ways to know God, through silence, through service, through suffering, even through the ordinary. What all these teachings whisper is this: the soul is not one size fits all. Enlightenment does not demand conformity, it invites authenticity. The truth is infinite, and so must be the ways to realize it. But the Buddha went even deeper. According to commentaries, the number 84,000 also corresponds to the 84,000 defilements, mental obscurations or tendencies that bind us to suffering. In other words, there are as many teachings as there are illusions. Each teaching is a medicine, a precise antidote to a specific affliction. So imagine this: your path to awakening is not generic, it's bespoke, crafted by the very patterns of your mind, your wounds, your gifts. In Zen Buddhism, they say, there are many paths up the mountain, but the view from the top is the same. Yet how we climb, whether we sprint, stumble, crawl, or dance, is entirely up to us. This radical inclusivity is what makes the 84,000 paths so profound. It dissolves hierarchy, it shatters rigidity, and it dares to say, you don't have to become something else to be enlightened. You have to become more fully yourself. And perhaps, just perhaps, the ancient sages saw what science is only beginning to uncover, that the mind is not a fixed thing, but a living, breathing field of potential. And from here, we step beyond scripture and into the realm of modern inquiry, into the hidden architecture of consciousness itself. Now let us shift our gaze from the candlelit temples of the past to the neon-lit halls of science. Every 2 years, some of the world's most inquisitive minds gather at a remarkable event, the Science of Consciousness Conference, held in places like Tucson, Arizona. This forum draws neuroscientists, philosophers, mystics, physicists, and psychologists. They come not just to study the brain, but to understand being. And yet, despite centuries of exploration, the fundamental question still echoes. What is consciousness? Is it an emergent property of neural circuits, a field beyond the brain, an illusion, or, as ancient mystics suggested, the ground of all reality itself? In these modern halls of inquiry, echoes of ancient truths often resound. Concepts once dismissed as spiritual are now being reframed through the lens of cognitive science. And one of the most compelling bridges between Buddhist teachings and modern neuroscience is a concept called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to change itself structurally and functionally based on experience, learning, and even intention. Thought patterns, behaviors, emotional responses, all of these can be rewired. In other words, the mind is not a machine, it's a garden, and every thought is a seed. This aligns stunningly with the Buddha's teachings. If the mind is the source of suffering, then it must also be the source of liberation. The 84,000 paths. They are not merely roads outside of us, they are neural pathways shaped by meditation, intention, and insight. Now imagine this scenario. A neuroscientist and a monk sit across from each other at the conference. The monk has spent 30 years meditating in silence. The neuroscientist studies fMRI, scans of people in altered states of awareness. They speak different languages, but their discoveries converge. The monk describes states of profound stillness, the dissolving of the self, the rise of compassion as a natural force. The scientist describes the default mode network deactivating, neural synchrony increasing, the amygdala shrinking under consistent mindfulness. One speaks in symbols, the other in signals, but the map is the same. Across traditions, we see similar metaphors. In Hindu mythology, the nadis, subtle energy channels, are said to number 72,000 or more. In Kabbalah, the tree of life maps out 10 sephirot, divine emanations linked through 22 pathways. In Christian mysticism, Saint Teresa of Avila's interior castle describes multiple mansions of the soul one must pass through to reach divine union. These aren't just poetic ideas. They're internal topographies, blueprints of transformation. And if we now understand that focused attention can rewire the brain, that compassion is trainable, that consciousness is layered and expansive, then suddenly the 84,000 teachings don't sound so metaphorical. They sound like the Buddha 2,500 years ago, offering humanity a vision of internal diversity. He saw that each of us has a unique architecture of awareness, a mind shaped by culture, karma, biology, trauma, and time. And so he offered not one path, but 84,000 entry points to awakening. Today, science calls it personalized cognitive therapy. The Buddha called it Dharma. So what does this mean for us? It means enlightenment is not reserved for monks in mountain caves. It means you are not broken because meditation doesn't come easily, or because devotion feels foreign. It means your path is real, it's valid, and it can begin right here, exactly where you are. The brain, like the soul, was never meant to be a single-track highway. It was always a vast, spiraling mandala of possibilities. The key is knowing how to walk it. To truly understand the 84,000 paths to enlightenment, we must first understand what we are navigating. Not the external world, but the internal one. Not streets and cities, but states of being. Imagine your consciousness as a vast mandala, a sacred geometric pattern unfolding in every direction. Each loop, each petal, each intersection is a different mode of perception, emotion, or insight. This is not a metaphor. It is your lived reality. You experience it when one moment you're anxious, the next you're inspired. When music opens your heart and silence opens your mind. When grief teaches you compassion, when boredom leads to discovery. Each of these inner experiences, though wildly different, can be a gate to something deeper. This is the essence of the 84,000 paths. They are not 84,000 religions, not 84,000 belief systems, but 84,000 psychological, emotional, and energetic entry points into the state of awakening. In early Buddhist psychology, this was understood with astonishing clarity. The mind was seen as made up of citta, heart-mind, constantly shifting through states like greed, hatred, mindfulness, joy, dullness, clarity. Each state, each citta moment, was seen as both a condition of suffering and a potential door to liberation, depending on how it was met. Let's explore a few of these paths, not as concepts, but as inner terrains you may already know. 1. The path of insight, vipassana. For those drawn to clarity and discernment, this path cuts like a blade. Vipassana, seeing things as they truly are, involves deep observation of the mind and body. Practitioners notice how thoughts arise and pass, how emotions shift, how even the self is a flux. This path appeals to the analytical, the seekers of truth through awareness. 2. The path of devotion, bhakti. Here, logic dissolves into love. This path is for the hearts that open through surrender, gratitude, and union with the divine. In Buddhist Pure Land practice, it may be chanting the name of Amitabha. In other traditions, it's music, poetry, prayer. Devotion burns the ego like incense, leaving only fragrance. 3. The path of action, karma yoga. Some walk through the world, not away from it. Their meditation is in movement, serving others, creating beauty, planting seeds. Their path is right action with pure intention. They dissolve the self not in silence, but in service. 4. The path of the body, Tantra, Hatha Yoga, Qigong. For some, awakening comes not through thought, but sensation, breath, posture, energy flow. These become the scriptures. The body becomes a temple, every cell vibrating with awareness. 5. The path of the shadow. This lesser-spoken path is perhaps one of the most potent. It's the descent into pain, trauma, and fear. But instead of avoiding these, the practitioner faces them, transmutes them. Jung would call it shadow work. The Buddhists see it as burning karma. In both, darkness becomes the teacher. Each of these is a thread in the tapestry of the 84,000. But here's the secret. Most of us don't walk just one. Your path may begin with mindfulness, spiral into grief, crack open into devotion, and stabilize through action. The 84,000 are not rigid lanes, they're dynamic, intersecting flows. And at the center of it all, consciousness, awareness, the ever-present witness. As you walk your path, it's this awareness that transforms suffering into wisdom, emotion into insight, and confusion into clarity. And whether you're aware of it or not, you are already walking. The question is, are you walking consciously? If the first half of our journey showed us the diversity of the 84,000 paths, the second half reveals something subtler and stranger. These paths are not always harmonious. Some contradict, others conflict. And yet, in that very tension, something miraculous is hidden. Let us consider two archetypal seekers. One retreats from the world, seeking stillness in the forest, fasting, meditating, eliminating distractions. Another plunges into the heart of the city, embracing chaos, relationships, conflict, and desire, not to escape, but to awaken within it all. The first seeks liberation through renunciation, the second through radical integration. Both are walking valid paths, and both will, at times, judge the other. This is the great paradox of spiritual evolution. What liberates one mind may bind another. What feels like truth to you may be illusion to someone else, and vice versa. But here's the deeper truth. Your soul is a code, a fractal, and your suffering, your preferences, your resistances, they are the lock and the key. Each of the 84,000 paths is not just a method, it's a mirror, reflecting the exact conditions of your awakening. For example, a person with deep trauma may need safety before they can surrender, so their path must begin with grounding, therapy, somatic healing. Someone else may be over-identified with control, and for them, surrender is the only way forward. The map is not universal, the map is you. This is where modern spirituality sometimes falters, selling universal methods to individualized minds. But the ancients knew better. The Buddha didn't just teach meditation, he taught ethics, concentration, wisdom, generosity, even cosmic visualization. He taught in metaphors for farmers, warriors, kings, beggars, lovers. His teachings were adaptive algorithms. The 84,000 are not random. They're response systems, unique antidotes to the poisons of each psyche. And here's another secret. These paths evolve with you. What worked for you 5 years ago may now feel hollow. What once frightened you may now feel like home. The path shifts as you shift. This is why spiritual contradiction is not a failure, it's a sign of progress. The Christian mystic will one day embrace the silence of the Buddha. The analytical skeptic may open to the grace of the Divine Mother. The monk may learn to dance. The rebel may learn to kneel. It's all part of the sacred puzzle. Let's make this practical. If you find yourself stuck, frustrated, spiritually fatigued, it may be because you're trying to walk someone else's path. What if your boredom was a compass? What if your resistance was a map? The Dharma never demands uniformity. It whispers, follow your friction. One person may find enlightenment through disciplined breathwork, another through parenting with awareness, another through grieving deeply. As long as awareness is present, anything can be the path. This is the ultimate gift of the 84,000. It honors not just your potential, but your complexity. Your contradictions are not flaws. They are features of your design. And when you stop trying to fit into a single model of awakening, you realize the model is already unfolding within you. The 84,000 aren't doors you must find. They are facets of your being waiting to be remembered. You don't need to scale a Himalayan peak or master Sanskrit to begin walking your path. The gates to awakening are already opening inside you, in your thoughts, emotions, habits, even your pain. The question is no longer, is there a path for me? The question is, which doorway is opening right now? Here are 5 powerful steps to begin discovering and walking your personal Dharma path among the 84,000. 1. Track the friction. Notice where your life resists ease. Where do you suffer most? Where are you most reactive, bored, or fearful? This friction is not a flaw, it's a flare. It marks where conditioning is thickest and thus where freedom is waiting. If anxiety keeps arising, perhaps mindfulness or breath-based practices are calling. If grief lingers, maybe devotional chanting or heart-centered compassion meditations hold your medicine. Practice. At the end of each day, reflect, what challenged me today? What insight did it offer? Write it down. Patterns will emerge. 2. Honor your archetype. We are all wired differently. Some of us are feelers, others are thinkers. Some awaken through motion, others through stillness. You don't have to meditate like a monk if your soul sings when you paint, dance, or serve others. The key is intentionality. Any act becomes spiritual when done with presence and sacred regard. Try this. Explore various practices and notice your energetic response. Vipassana, insight meditation. Bhakti, chanting or prayer. Karma yoga, selfless service. Somatic movement, yoga, dance, qigong. Shadow work, journaling, inner child work. Ask yourself, which one feels like home? Which one stretches me in a good way? 3. Anchor in daily rituals. The 84,000 paths may seem vast, but transformation happens one moment at a time. Choose a few sacred practices to ritualize your day. They become your trail markers. Suggestions: morning stillness, 5 to 10 minutes of mindful breathing or journaling. Mindful walking, use your commute or walk as practice. Sacred pause before meals, gratitude or intention setting. Evening reflection, what was I most aware of today? These rituals aren't meant to limit you, but to remind you. 4. Welcome the shadow as a teacher. Not every step on the path feels divine. Some feel like descent. But darkness too is a gate. The moments of failure, heartbreak, jealousy, or loss, they are the unlit dojos of the soul. Reframe challenges as initiations. The Buddha did not awaken despite Mara's temptations. He awakened through them. Practice. Next time you feel strong emotional reactivity, instead of escaping it, sit with it. Ask, what is this showing me? What am I believing? What part of me is crying out to be seen? 5. Let the path change you and change with you. The Dharma is not a dogma, it's an evolving relationship. Your path today may not be your path tomorrow, and that's not failure, that's evolution. Stay curious, stay listening. Journal. Prompt. What season of growth am I in right now? What does my soul need most? Structure or surrender? Discipline or softness? Silence or connection? Above all, remember this. The 84,000 paths are not out there. They are already within you, coded in your biology, etched into your experiences, calling from your dreams. You don't have to walk all of them. You just have to walk yours fully, consciously, and with love. In the final section, we'll tie it all together. What if I told you that you are already on the path? That every heartbreak, every moment of joy, every question that's ever burned in your soul, was not a detour but part of the design. The 84,000 paths are not a library to choose from. They are an unfolding inside you, a sacred architecture of soul meeting self, of life sculpting awakening in real time. And maybe the real mystery is this: you never walk the path alone, because the path is not just something you follow. The path is what walks you. With each step you take, toward healing, toward awareness, toward love, you activate ancient blueprints etched in consciousness itself. The same mind that once wandered is now the tool of liberation. The same heart that once broke becomes a chalice for compassion. The same breath you've always breathed becomes the anchor of eternity. Remember, you don't need to master all 84,000. You only need to listen deeply, follow what is alive within you, and trust that your path, however strange, non-linear, or humble, is no less sacred than the Buddha's own. In fact, perhaps that's the final hidden truth. The Buddha didn't leave behind one path. He became the mirror in which every being's path could be seen as holy. So ask yourself now, as the video closes, what is your path asking of you today? Where is it leading you? And will you take the next step? Not just with your feet, but with your entire being. The gate is open, the path is alive, and it's calling your name. If this exploration stirred something within you, share your reflection in the comments. Which of the 84,000 gates are you walking through today? Until next time, walk with presence, and may your path reveal its mystery, one sacred step at a time.